He earned a Doctor of Ministry degree from Princeton Theological Seminary in 1983 and a Doctor of Divinity from Aurora University in 1990. He was awarded the Doctor of Philosophy degree from Case Western Reserve University in 1998. Dr. McMickle is the author of 14 books. He also has authored dozens of articles that regularly appear in professional journals and magazines. In May of 2011, he was elected to be the 12th president of Colgate Rochester Crozer Divinity School here in Rochester. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome, Dr. McMickle.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everybody. Wonderful to be able to host this event here on campus of Colgate Rochester Crozer Divinity School. And let me just point out a few people who are an ongoing part of our school's life. Tom McMickle and his wife are there, and both just raise a hand. Tom is the Vice President for Institutional Advancement and also works with me collaboratively in all of these external partnerships. So he is vital to our life. And then there are some of our students who are here, and if they would all just acknowledge their presence. We have a social action committee as part of the student body. Nancy Rapa is the director, chairperson, president, whatever, and we so we try to get her to come to all of these events where the school is interfacing and interacting with the community in order to give them a sense of what social activism and community involvement looks like. So we're pleased to have them here, and pleased that you've come to join us. So I want to tell you 3 or 4 stories tonight that talk primarily about the importance of a person's intervention in the life of another human being. It is the point that President Obama was trying to make before pundits and critics mistook his perspective that none of us made it by ourselves, that nobody built anything by their sole efforts. All of us are the beneficiaries of somebody else's intervention into our lives at critical times when the course of our lives could have gone one way or the other. And that is certainly true for me. As I look at the Rochester community, now not even a year in, and recognize that with this group you are one of a series of critical interventions that has got to take place if this generation of young people is going to make it. And it starts at the youngest ages and it goes up by about 2 decades. I was sitting in my office not long ago when someone came to remind me that in the city of Rochester, school performance is not unrelated, believe it or not, to the continuing problem of lead blood poisoning. Children are getting off to a slower start of school because they're living in unhealthy environments that leave them unable to compete at grade level. And so at one level, there is the need to think about the healthy environment in which children are living. 2 days ago, just across the hall, there was a meeting that involved the chief of police of the city of Rochester and some other community groups, talking about this constant level of violence, homicides, black-on-black crime. They've got this targeted down to a set number of zip code areas. We know exactly where it is, we know exactly what it is, we even know primarily why it is, and yet it persists on and on and on. And then there is the educational system. How surprised I was coming from Cleveland, Ohio. Before that from New York City, before that from Chicago, to discover that the single highest rate of black male high school dropouts in the United States of America is in Rochester, New York. Why? made a decision about what to do with children who are infected early, educated poorly, and then if they survive the violence that surrounds them to their 18th or 19th birthday, there are prison cells waiting. There is a parallel universe to the one in which most of us live every day, a parallel world. To those who wake up in unhealthy settings, who dodge bullets, there are children in the Rochester area. Police chief told us the other day, who over the course of the last 6 years have been in walking distance of over 500 shootings. 6 years. 500 shootings. Would you want to live in the neighborhood? Failing schools, bad health, violence, and prisons. And what keeps more and more children from going down that path, maybe sitting in this room, and in rooms like this? Because I should have been one of those statistics. You want evidence-based results? Look at me. I'm evidence that interventions make a difference. I was 16 years old. I was living in Chicago. My brother had gone to the Vietnam War because he thought he was safer in Vietnam than he was on the south side of Chicago. He served 13 months and could have come home, but he voluntarily signed up for another 13 months in Vietnam because he thought he had a better chance of survival in Vietnam than 537 West 56th Place on the south side of Chicago. My parents were divorced, my mother working 2 jobs, and I was basically left to raise myself in a neighborhood that was divided on the one side by the Blackstone Rangers and on the other side by a gang called the Disciples. One either joined one or the other or learned how to run very fast. I won't tell you which choice I made. My life was spiraling out of control. One day, a man from our church, not my father, not a member of my family, he had no obligations to me at all, but he could see what was happening to me, came to my mother's house. And he asked her if, this was the quote, "Can I take Marvin for a ride?" My mother said, "No, you cannot take Marvin for a ride. If you want to help me, just take Marvin." You don't ever have to bring that. Just take him. She recognized there come this point in her life when there just wasn't anything more that she could think to do. She had sang enough, she had talked enough, she had prayed enough, she had cried enough, she had begged enough, nothing was getting through. Does it sound familiar to some of our kids today? And so he put me in his car. And we drove around Chicago for an hour or so. He didn't say a word. So I couldn't figure out what it was about. Why are we doing this? Just driving through Chicago at night. Until we came to Cook County Jail. Then he stopped the car. Put it in park. Got out, walked around to the passenger side, opened the door, and asked me to get out. Walked me over to the wall of Cook County Jail and asked me to lean my hand against it. And then he said, "If you don't change how you're living your life, beginning now, the next time I see you, I'll still be outside. But you'll be living in this jail or some jail, probably for the rest of your life, if you don't get killed first." 16. But that intervention, that moment when a person who had no family connection to me at all, who wasn't being paid, who hadn't been sent, who wasn't being sort of directed by some external agency, the only thing that he was doing was expressing his interest and concern in the life of another young person. That intervention on that night by that man saved my life. It redirected the course of my thinking. It didn't happen in 24 hours. I didn't suddenly become, quote unquote, a good boy. I was still living in Chicago. I was still living between the Blackstone Rangers and the disciples. I was still running the school every day. I was still trying to survive. But I had now the notion that maybe there was a way out of this mess. I want you to appreciate the fact that there are thousands of young men and women for whom that is the best description of their daily lives. Living in a mess. Family life is a mess. The communities in which I live are in a mess. The people around whom I spend my time are all in the same mess that I am in. Everywhere they turn, they see the same problems reflected in the faces of their friends and their neighbors, and what they need is someone who can come into their world and breathe in them a word of hope and encouragement. Does it require a PhD degree? Does it require specialized training in counseling? It requires a heart of love and compassion, a little bit of time, and your own belief that the time you spend with one person can make a difference in your life. That's story number one. The next one occurred in college of all places, a place I never dreamed that I would be. College. My high school guidance counselor was sure I would never succeed in college. She did all she could to discourage me from going to college, but we went on anyway. I wonder where she is today. She would be amazed at this. But there was one thing I had not learned very well in high school. Among many things I had not learned. I had not learned the use of a punctuation that distinguished morals from possessors. It's a small little thing until you try to read somebody's paper and they don't know how to distinguish a moral from a possessor. One little punctuation mark makes all the difference in the world. And I had a professor of religion who said to me, you know, you're a pretty good writer. You might actually get something written, published someday. You write well, but nobody will finish reading your manuscript if you can't fix this. So a professor of religion with a PhD from Northwestern University started this exercise. He would take different colored pens, red, blue, green, orange, and circle every time I made that mistake in the paper, because he said, you know, if I make this visual enough, you will see how often you are doing it. And then I just wasn't getting it. And he called me into his office, and a professor of religion whose specialty was ancient archaeology. Man was on more days to the Middle East than I could ever imagine. He had rocks and pots and sherds all over his office, and here he is in the middle of all that, giving me an English language grammar lecture. He was not a part of his job description. He could have just said, these papers are not acceptable. But instead, green, red, orange, blue, and finally, you come in here and sit down. You're going to do this today. 14 books later. The reason that people read them through to get them published was a professor of religion who taught me lessons in English grammar. This is point number 3. So now I finished college and I've gone to seminary in New York City. And there's a famous preacher in New York, he's retired now, living in North Carolina, named Marvin, famous African-American And anybody who is in New York, if they ever had a chance, they rushed to his church in Brooklyn to hear him preach. So I was like the rest of the world. I'm living in New York, I'm going to go here in New York. But I had a day job at a church on Sunday, so I could only go at night, and they had communion at night. And so 4 of us got on the subway, and we went from Manhattan to Brooklyn to the Concord Baptist Church. Now this church seats 3,500, and it was severe. We signed no guest registries. We left our names with nobody at the front door. We were just 4 of 3,000 seated in a sanctuary that was largely dim except for up front where he was standing preaching. And at some point, as he was up there, he said that the Spirit had revealed to him that there were 4 seminary students who were in the church and he wanted to see them at the church. Now repeat, we had signed no books. We had given our names to no one. We're not wearing name tags. I don't know how this man knew. I said it must be 4 other students. It could not be us. But just to be sure, we all went to his office. And he said, you were the ones. You're the ones. The Lord told me you were here. I said, well, he tell us. You know, this was coming. So we went back to his office. Now this is the most famous African American preacher in the world. This is the most famous African American preacher in the world. And he asked 4 people he had never even seen before to sit down in his office. How are your studies going? How are you feeling in your life? Pass this $10 on to somebody else. I want you to do for others what you've just seen me do for you. And if you just pass that $10 on, you'll be amazed at how much good it did. That was in 1971. I tell you, it was the most expensive $10 I cannot tell you how many times since 1971 I passed on that $5, $10, $20, sometimes more, sometimes less. But if you drill this into our conscious mind, if anybody has ever done anything for you, if somebody ever helped you get where you are, and all of us have had somebody who helped us get where we are, every chance you get for as long as you live, find a way to pass that $10 on to somebody. So when you mentor a child, or you sit in on the class, or you provide supervision for the Frederick Douglass Club, or you volunteer for the free event that's going on here, Friends for Excellence in Education. When you're doing things like that, you know what you're doing? You are passing on that $10. You are continuing in your life the investment in others that someone may need. Many years later, I was watching television, and a commercial came on. And the commercial said, if ever anybody really made a difference in your life, when is the last time you called on the phone and said thank you? And it occurred to me that I hadn't spoken to this fellow from archaeology who taught me English. So I called him on the phone, I tracked him down, I found him at home, he was now retired. I said to him, I wanted to call you tonight to thank you for doing for me what you and I both know you didn't have to do. But because of what you did for me, my life is different, and I'm able to touch the lives of other people. And what Bruce is trying to do, and what this group is trying to do, whether it is on the issue of red blood poisoning, which needs activists, or black on black crime, the rates of homicide, the chief of police needs advocates. Well, this unending stream of people that are being marched off to correctional facilities all across the state and all across this country. There are more people in prison in any one of our states in this country than in most of our comparative countries around the world. 45,000 people in prison in Ohio when I lived there. 45,000 in France. We incarcerate the populace that we don't want to deal with. If they have not killed themselves or died of lead poisoning or dropped off the radar screen by compromise. They are only one mentor, one advocate, one friend, one hug away. So I'm going to end by asking you to remember tonight the person or the persons who made a difference to you. Don't pretend that you got where you are by your own singular efforts. Remember somebody. The parent, the teacher, coach, some political leader who inspired you and brought the best out of you, some colleague on your job, somebody who raised your horizons and broadened your convictions and made you the person that you want to be. And then in their memory, and for their sake, do the same for some child in Rochester, some child somewhere. You know this theme comes from, I used to watch years ago, the television show that featured Dean Martin. And he began his show with the same song every time. Everybody needs somebody sometime. I have, you have, these children do.